Hi, my name is Marcus and this is my persuasive speech. Work. Everyone needs it to survive. Traditionally growing up, our parents taught us that we needed to go to college, get a good degree, and get a good job. With college costing an average of $900 per year in the time period when most of our parents went to school who instilled this ideology into us, that would make sense. Now, college costing an average of $50,000 a year, that is cause enough to make us want to rethink this thought process. Back in the 1970s, when most of our parents were going to school, they had a minimum wage set that allowed them to work 20 hours a week and have enough money to pay for college, books, rent, groceries, and all of the necessities while being able to save money and have leftover money for spending. Nowadays, there's not one county in America where workers working a minimum wage job for 40 hours a week can afford a 2-bedroom apartment for rent, not to mention going to school, buying books, getting all of food, groceries, clothing, all of the necessities. In order to get all of these necessities, workers have to work 60 hours a week and then take out loans for college and books, and almost have no time to spend on college because they're working so much just to pay for the essentials. It's no wonder that many people in America are pushing the rise of the minimum wage. To dive into the history of it, the U.S. Congress initially created the minimum wage with the intent of providing a livable wage. The minimum wage is an amount set by law, whereas the livable wage is determined by the average cost to live. Today I'm going to go over the minimum wage and how it is not a livable wage anymore, why we need to raise it, and what benefit that would have on society. The minimum wage has failed us because it has not raised enough since its origin to do the one thing that it was intended to do, and that is to keep American workers out of poverty. Minimum wage is grossly too low and hasn't kept up with the cost of living over the 83 years since its origin of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 at the tail end of the Great Recession, which established the minimum wage in America as a way to ensure workers are paid a livable wage. To help you understand the minimum wage argument, here are a few cost comparisons between 1938 of the origin and now. Back in 1938, the minimum wage was set at 25 cents, but the average cost for a house was only $4,100, whereas now the minimum wage is set at $7.25, and the average cost for a house is $269,000. In 1938, the cost for rent was $26 a month. Now the average cost for rent is $1,878 a month. And the cost for tuition in 1938 was $400 a year, whereas now it's $53,166 a year. Now, based off of inflation and taking that into account, based off of the price for a house in 1938, adjusted for inflation, nowadays it should be just under $65,000 a year, which is 24% of what it actually costs today. Rent should be $477 a month, 25% of what it actually costs today. Tuition should be just under $7,000 a year, which is 13% of what it actually costs today. But if you take the income, the yearly income of what based off of the 25 cents per hour of 1938, it should be adjusted for inflation, $28,671 per year, which is actually 7% higher than what it actually is nowadays. A common misunderstanding with the minimum wage is that it is set so workers can get into the workplace, gain new skills, and then work into a higher and harder paying job. But with most jobs paying above the minimum wage, requiring a college degree, in order for workers to get there, they have to make the hard choice of whether they want to go to college and collect debt with the hope of obtaining a job that pays them a livable wage and allows them to pay off their accrued debt. Contrary to popular belief, the majority of minimum paid workers are not teenagers. 72% of minimum paid workers are under or over the age of 20. So what do we do about it? First, I propose that we create a board of experts, a board of economic experts who are able to yearly discuss what the livable wage is and what the minimum wage should be set to. Second, we have to take the power away from politicians. We have to take the power, and it shouldn't be a political issue. It should be an issue that experts are able to diagnose and then propose a way for American workers to always have a livable wage. And then thirdly, we have to give companies time to be able to adjust to the time periods in order to set these new policies. It is commonly thought that raising the minimum wage would put many workers out of work. So this brings up the ethical dilemma of whether a job should exist if it is not able to pay workers a wage high enough to keep workers above the poverty line. With the plan I'm proposing, we can take the power away from big business. We can put money back into the pockets of people who really need it. Beyond that, the lower class tends to focus on spending more money than the upper class, who tends to save their money. By raising the minimum wage, it will pump more money into the economy, and while giving minimum wage workers the opportunity to pay for essentials and stay on track. People will be able to live comfortably and make enough money in order to enjoy life. Their well-being will be increased, which will then in turn help businesses because they'll be more happy and be able to at least know that what the time that they're putting into their job would in turn allow them to earn enough money to be able to survive. Workers' emotional well-being will increase, and because we won't have to focus on working overtime in order to pay the bills. We can just work 40 hours a week, and then we'll be able to pay for what we need to pay for. Workers' social life will improve because they won't have to work so much overtime, and so they'll have free time to spend with their family, friends, and enjoy doing what they want to do. To refresh, the minimum wage is no longer a livable wage as initially intended by the creators back in 1938. In order to provide the workforce with a livable wage, we need to create a new system of overseers who are able to yearly raise the minimum wage based off of the economy and inflation. This in turn will provide workers with money in order to live above the poverty line and provide them with funds to survive and pump money back into the economy by using the extra money they are receiving to buy more essentials. U.S. workers should not have to choose between food or rent for the month. If working full-time, workers should be able to pay for the essentials of living. To finish off, I implore you, now with this information that you have been presented, to take a hard look at your predetermined assumptions about the minimum wage in America and ask yourself, should everyone who works 40 hours a week be able to buy the essentials in order to live in America? The obvious question, from my opinion, is yes. American workers who put in the time and the effort to actually work and to help the economy should be able to, they themselves, live and pay for the essentials in order to survive. Thank you for your time.